Good morning to all. I will be talking on the concept of food forests, empowering the indigenous women through food forest. My name is Dr. Rekha Warrier. I am from the Institute of Forest Genetics and Tree Breeding, a national level organization under the Indian Council of Forestry Research and Education. We work on forest trees, productivity, and also how to enhance the livelihood of the forest fringe community dwellers. So this project, I would be working alongside two major partners. One is the Adi Federation. It is a community-based organization. It is a PVTG group which works in the Western Ghats areas. It is in the fringe areas of the Western Ghats. And another organization, the JaiWorg. Now, this Adi Federation has been doing quite a lot of community activities for the health and nutrition of the tribals in the area, exclusively led by women. And the JaiWorg is a farmer-led initiative. We have Mr. Reggie Joseph here, who is leading this initiative of JaiWorg. This is in Kerala. The concerned person, he is a Plant Genome Savior Awardee. He was given this award for assembling Emblica officinalis, which grew in the Western Ghats area and which was appreciated by the PPVFRA. So the three of us would be working together for this project. Coming to the location where we would be doing it, this would be on the forest fringe villages of the Western Ghats. And to describe this area, it is a totally degraded area. This has been undergoing degradation over decades due to various activities that have been happening there. And because of this, the land that is present there is maybe shallow soiled, or it is highly degraded. And we have most of the households there as PVTG members, that is the particularly vulnerable tribal groups who are handling the area. And slowly those people have started moving from forestry into labor or forest gathering, or they have reduced yield in farming because of the poor land conditions or the extremities in the weather conditions. Their dietary diversity, which was mentioned yesterday elaborately, is also very low. It is not that they do not have fruits in that area. They have fruits like Emblica is one of the common fruits that is there. Carissa caranda is another common species that is there, but they do not have the wherewithal about the value addition of the species. Our institute has been involved in training them on value addition of different species, but there are some more species which require value addition, which are of demand in the market. And then they had been having traditional mixed cropping farming, which has also slowly reduced sharply reduced over time, mainly due to the land pressures that they face. And the availability of QPM for these forest fringe dwellers is limited. So they try to plant whatever is available for them. They do have a market which has been facilitated by the NABARD, but that also they would like to scale up. So considering all these factors, this concept of food forest has been promoted here in this project, where we believe that a multi-layered food forest can provide up to 20 to 30% improvement in the soil carbon. It would be able to give a year-round access for 8 to 12 different types of food varieties, which I would be discussing later, and about taking care of 30 to 50% of the household's annual requirement of food. And this would also have a mix of different foods. Thereby it would also help to increase the household income. When there is an excess, we can sell that, giving them a 25 to 40% increase over their income. And because it is going to be a mixed forest, it is not a monocrop, the pollinators there can be enhanced in that area with diverse crops being there. And today Reggie was mentioning maybe we should also incorporate the concept of honeybees there, because honey is also one of those products which they produce. And this being a low input perennial system, the irrigation requirements would also be very limited. And when the community is managing these food forests, because it is their own initiative, the survival rates of the material that they would be planting would also be higher. So based on these different aspects, we have framed the objectives as enhancing the food and nutritional security of the tribal communities, the PVTGs, promote climate resilient, low input cultivation systems that regenerate degraded forest fringes, identify suitable indigenous and locally adaptable fruit trees or species cultivars, and complementary planting or maintenance methods for their sustainable yields, and strengthen the role of the community-based organization in leading this women-centered community-based natural resource management. So how do we go about it? What I have drawn there is a design of how we would be planning to go ahead with the food forest. So we have 7 layers of different foods that we have there. O represents the overstory, that is the larger tall fruits or timber trees. So tall fruits could be maybe mango and jack. You have the understory where you have smaller trees adapted to shade. You have a shrub layer where you have the berries planted there. A herbaceous layer where you would be looking into the vegetables, herbs and medicinal plants. You have a root layer in between the gaps where you have tubers and underground crops. You have a ground cover using creepers that would suppress the weeds, and then a vine layer, something like pepper, which would add to their income. And the irrigation that we plan to use here would be a low cost drip irrigation. If it is mostly because it is a slopey area, then it would be mostly irrigation based on gravity, so that you do not need to use bigger implements there in that area. And maintenance would be through live mulching, composting, selective pruning and rotational intercropping. So this would be the time frame that I would like to work on. So initially we would do a baseline study where we identify 15 different sites. Now with the PVTGs, the advantage is the government has given them certain pockets of land where they can do this cultivation. So those lands would be used for this process. Otherwise they are left barren. They are not using those lands. They prefer to go to the forest to make their collections. So in the first 3 months, we would like to look into the sites. We would have workshops with the communities to identify what sort of trees they would like to plant there. And then this material would be procured from the agricultural universities or from the ICAR institutes, which have quality planting material. And then once that is done, then we go in for establishment of the 7 forest design in different phases. So first we plant the trees and then slowly one crop after the other, because initially once you plant the trees and they start growing up, then you can plant the other trees there. Following that and establishing the plants there, we go in for a monitoring and evaluation to see how is the growth, what are the species that are there, or do we need to replace them. So when we do a soil profiling study, we would also be able to know what are the species that soil can support them. And once we are able to show a success story here, then we would be going for a knowledge sharing. Here I would like to add that Mr. Reggie, who will be supporting us in this initiative, has already proven this technology with 350 350 different sites, that this has been a success model within 3 years. So we also plan to take up this in the forest friend villages for 3 years. So the first stage would be mapping the sites, documentation and the participatory workshops. The second stage would be establishing the plantations, the forest, and then mulching and composting there. The third would be recording, documenting the yield and then tracking. And the fourth would be the community field days, where we try to bring in the PVTGs from the nearby areas to see the success of this, so that they can also adopt the same thing in their regions. The social and nutritional impact of the project are, it improves the household nutrition, because the community can take the produce that comes from their food forest, enhance livelihood for the indigenous women, because the Adi group, as I mentioned to you, they manage the entire area. The women leadership is very strong in the area. They have been able to convince the ladies in the region to take up different activities. So this could also be one of the additional activities there. Plus also harvest sharing and value addition of their products, strengthening the community resilience, revival of the traditional ecological knowledge. So that would be something which we would be taking up during the discussions we would have in the first phase, and also greater social cohesion and empowerment within the community. The environmental and the climate advantages would be, we restore the degraded forest fringes, we improve the soil health, moisture retention and reduce the erosion in the area, enhance the carbon sequestration, we minimize the chemical inputs, because this is purely going to be live mulching using the plants, and strengthening the climate resilience of the tribal communities. In the on the aspect of scaling and sustainability, now once this has been proven to be successful, then this is just one hamlet where we have around 30 different villages present there, that we would be taking for this study. Once this is successful, then because it is a community-led design, then there would be the other PVTGs in the surrounding areas who can adopt this one. We have very low agroecological practices here, mostly organic, strengthening the local capacity of the Adi Federation, that is the name of the CBO. We have a mixed species perennial system which would provide sustainable yields over the years, and thus it would be a scalable model that can help in leveraging the community labor, traditional knowledge and shared resources for cost efficient expansion. So coming to the budget summary, the human resources, where we include the staff and the expert honoraria, and the material resources, where we would be sourcing them from the ICAR institutes and from the Tamil Nadu Agricultural University. In addition, so as I mentioned, this is for 3 years, and we would also be having an in-kind collaboration where we would involve the stars from our institute, from Jaiwar, and the community-based organization. So their own people would be taking part in the entire process of planting and the labor that would be happening there. We have also looked into the risk and mitigation strategies. So some of the risks are poor plant survival or growth. So here we try to use only the native species which are already existing in the area, and improved varieties of those species. Water scarcity is an issue where we would try to install, as I mentioned, gravity drip system, so that we don't need to go in for specialized machinery. Pest and disease outbreaks are a problem there because new varieties are being introduced into the area. So maybe we would try to make use of natural repellents which the institute has developed against pests. Community disengagement is a very big risk that we see here, because we need to sustain the interests of the community people. So there we try to enhance them by giving them a small a deposit fund and asking them to use that money for their various activities. Knowledge gaps which we try to overcome through material and vernaculars. Climate variability maybe, that is why we try to use identified cultivars, but that is an issue over a period of time. So thank you very much for the patient listening.
Anyone have any question? Yes, please.
Thanks, Rekha, for a really nice presentation. Just briefly, maybe you could say something about tenure issues and access rights in the communities, and I'd be also interested in linking that with natural regeneration that might be positive or negative in this context.
So there is no issue of tenure in this case, because this land belongs to the community. So the government has given them some land to work with, rather than go into the forest and damage the forest. So they have been given land. So it is in that community land that we would be carrying out this project. So there would be no issues of tenure rights. And coming to natural regeneration, in the presentation I had shown, we are not going to take a large area. Maybe we would take only a 50 by 50 feet plot. So that area would be used for this purpose. The other area would be free for the natural regeneration. Maybe if some of the seeds from these crops can go to the community, that would enhance the scope of the project.
Just one of the question Chris asked here, basically, it's the same kind of arrangement where the forestry department give land to the tribal communities for period of 5 or 10 years, and they can grow some trees species there, and they can take the harvest.
Yes.
The harvest is by the community only.
Yes.
Because I have seen some example in Nandurbar district here. I visited one of the site, also the forestry department. But the thing is the intervention that the whatever plant they are growing, I mean, they don't have any scientific input here. Whatever they get locally, they just plant it here. So maybe your project can have kind of, as you mentioned here, diversity of fruit plant, which give round the year nutrition to the community here, and right kind of planting material to be given here. So I think this is a good example. But I want to know what is the contribution of the forestry ministry.
IFGTB.
I mean, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, and Indian Council of Forest Association, because this is what we want to have a partnership. And as also our donor mentioned, Umesh, the forest fringes is important landscape here. So for sustainability for long term, now 3 years project is okay, but for long term sustainability with CFI and the ministry and Indian Council of Forest Research, what is kind of commitment from the ministry? And yeah.
So here we, in this, we would be helping them in supplying the forestry plants, like say Emblica is something which we would be able to support. So the wild plants which they grow, we would be able to support the quality planting material. The second would be value addition of the material. So our council has been carrying out quite a lot of value addition for wild edible fruits. So we would be able to support in the form of value addition. And another point which I forgot to mention here, our institute is a center of excellence under the Ministry of Tribal Affairs. So we have a connection with TriFed also. So many of the products which the Adi Federation has been producing, we have been helping them to get it empaneled through the TriFed. So that is also another contribution which we would be able to do for them. So the tribals can produce, they can make products out of it, and we would help them in the empanelment also. So it is through us that the empanelment happens. So this is how we would be able to help them.
Just one more follow-up question here, that is the ministry now giving a lot of sapling of the tree species for planting here. can the ministry can also include our target fruit species for multiplication and provide to other, not the target community, but in general in that area here for promoting here.
Our ministry has also started realizing that it is not just the timber trees, the fruits also require importance, just as FAO has been propagating this concept. So yes, we do have fruit trees also. We also encourage that. So slowly we have also been into like our institutes, our sister institutes, they are producing in large quantities the fruit trees also. So in case CFI requires quality planting material of such species, we would be able to support it. Yeah, Dr. Geeta from the headquarters would be able to add. Tamarind and
No, I'm asking not tamarind, any other fruit species.
We are in all our institutes, we have wild fruit species we are working on. We had a project for 5 years, recently 6th year it is completed. So we'll be, whatever projects we are giving, it is basically extension of that. We had worked on Buchnania, we have worked on tamarind, we had worked on this Imblica, wood apple also we have Agil Marvelous. We have worked on tree species, and our basic thing is whatever we are giving from ICFRE side, it is extension of that, not starting from scratch. So extending that to further, and these results, as sir you said, we are into, we have to go to ministry for including into it with forest departments. Once we get success with these things, obviously forest department is looking for the quality planting material. So once we are into it, so we can engage the forest departments also through our One Vigyan Kendras into it. We can involve our One Vigyan Kendras in it. One Vigyan Kendras we can involve and we can go into it. Yeah. We are doing networking with KVKs also. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you very much. Small question.
There are these 7 species in 7 species and 7 layers in 50 by 50 area. Is adoption going to be easy for others? Seed material supply after this successful demonstration, say, if other people have to adopt, is it going to be easy for sourcing seed material and also adopting that model of 7 layers and that small area?
Okay, we have Mr. Reggie who would be presenting his success in this. So it has been successful.
Okay.
750
Okay.
plots, it has been proven to be successful. That is why I took up this initiative for the forest fringe areas. So in normal lands, this has been done. So now we would like to try it out for the marginalized communities. That was the inspiration for taking it.
That is very good. My question is primarily on adoption.
It can be done. It can be done. It only depends on what to plant in which place. So maybe that initial discussions have to happen in every place wherever it is to be adopted, and then I think it can be taken forward.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.